This episode is brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration, a proud supporter of the Inside Running podcast. It keeps us fueled on our long runs and races. Are you training for your next big race and still guessing your nutrition? Inside Running Podcast listeners, 2026, this is the year you stop winging it. Precision Fuel and Hydration is the answer. Their free online planner helps you nail your sodium and carb intake so you don't fade when it matters most. Visit precisionhydration.com, and while you're there, place your first order and get 15% off when you use the code IRP2026. Welcome to episode number 444 of the Inside Running Podcast. A massive thank you for being with us. Mamma mia, we got a big show for you this week. There's big shows. I always say it's a big show, but most of the time I'm making that up just trying to get you excited at the start of an episode. But this is a big show. We got Boston Marathon to recap. We got 159 marathons to talk about and women-only world records at London Marathon. Locally, Ballarat Marathon happened. We've got Moose over there in London. We're going to patch him in shortly. Listener question, someone will go on the loose. We're going to count down the top 20 running songs of all time as well because this thing's been dragging on, but we can finally do it. And the man I get to do it all with, the streets know him as Uncle Croker. Probably the guy who can analyse distance running better than anyone in this country. Welcome to you, Croaks, a 217 man based in Canberra.
Thanks, Brady. Welcome back. And there's a bit going on. We're just saying off air, we obviously haven't heard your Boston recap, but it feels like 3 months ago.
Yeah, tell me about it. I feel like I've been in 7 different time zones on the streets of Ballarat yesterday. And but then there's stuff from London last night. It's, what a week. Well, what a 6-7 days it's been in. That was a bit of a 6-7 reference there, Croaks. Your kids do that too. I'm just thinking, geez, if I said that at school, I would have been getting made fun of. But you get it. What a 6 days it's been in worldwide distance running.
So I know you normally go last with your weekly recaps, but I reckon because we've got so many events to cover, let's do your Boston recap, recovery since Boston, recap Boston results, and then move on.
All right, first bit dedicated to Boston. Croaks, you got it. This is like my summary. You've got to get to Boston. Like, a bit of context, I entered Boston because I was like, I do a weekly running podcast. I coach people who always want to qualify for Boston. We talk about running results all the time. And I'm like, I've got to go to Boston to kind of tick the box. Since then, and since going and experiencing the race, I am blown away. And I'm telling everybody who can potentially get a qualifier, get some time off work, get to that race. I'm like, if you have the means to be able to get there, go and do it because it is like nothing else. The crowds, I've been everywhere too. I've been Berlin 3 times. I haven't been London and New York, and I know they're kind of competitors and maybe on the same par, but this race experience was like nothing I had ever experienced in my life. Like the crowds and the way that city loves their marathon.
Is it getting more and more wild on the streets though? Because I suppose social media makes it easy now to see what the vibe's like. Because you see Clayton Young pulls out of the main pack to go and give probably 100 meters of just high fives.
That was the college girls. That was Wesley College. That is, it's impossible to run through there without having a massive smile on your face. And it's just you just don't know what to do because you're like, it goes for so long. It's not just like a corner that you hear this wild scream and it stops, but it's 300, 400 meters of just loud screaming. And it just gives you goosebumps and it's almost like a deer in headlights. You're like, how do I react to this when I don't even know how many Ks in it was, but it was, blew my mind how loud that was.
Were they doing that 20 years ago though? Those college girls?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but it goes to show that the respect they have for their marathon, it is like, because it's public holiday, so it's 10 o'clock start for us. So I was in wave A, and I just assume it's like, well, if you're anywhere near that course, your responsibility for the day is to get on that road and make the runner's experience as amazing as possible.
Yeah.
So
Well, take us back to like trip over. Like, how'd that go? What'd you do in the days leading up?
Yeah, I went Melbourne to LA, and I got to LA at like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and then I had a night there. So just stayed at a hotel really close to the airport. Went and got one of those In-N-Out burgers. Have you ever seen like that In-N-Out burger joint next to the LAX airport where the like planes pretty much fly straight overhead? That was overrated. That was like, looks good on same thing, social media, but didn't taste that good. And then the next day, which would have been the Wednesday, I went from LA to Boston, which are pretty much going like coast to coast. And then, I think it was like a 4-hour time difference. So that pretty much cost me the whole day. And then Boston was a lot cooler, like real similar to Melbourne kind of weather, grey, like cold, wet, raining. And then I was pretty much in the organisational loop under the wing of our man, Jordan Donnelly. So it was like a WhatsApp message. This is what we're going to do. Get on this train. He's the most organised guy in the world. It'd be like, catch this 6:32 a.m. train from your train station, take 5 stops, get off here, and he'd just always meet me at the other end. And it was good because I think he lived there for like 7 or 8 years, and he just had so many connections. And like, we went with his old run group one day around the river, and then the next day he's like, oh yeah, we'll meet up with my old mate Andy Baddeley. And you're just like, oh yeah, like the Oslo Diamond League mile winner, the guy who tripped Craig Mottram at the 2006 Commonwealth Games. And he had some great stories, Croaks. He was great to jog with. And he's in that, people will know him from the running channel. You ever consumed any of their stuff?
No, I haven't.
No, I think it's pretty successful though. Like, it's maybe pitched it like he kind of said like that 20-minute 5K is probably their kind of best content that we do. So the days leading in were just, under Jordo, following him around. We met up with Izzy at the race hotel one day, and we were just sitting in the lobby. And you know what those race hotels are like. It's just big dogs going like past you every 5 minutes. So it'd be like Joe Klecker goes past, stops to have a chat with Jordo. Dathan Ritzenheim goes past, stops to have a chat, sits down, introduces himself. Izzy and I chatting away to him.
Bikili asked me for a photo once in Berlin.
That's
at
right.
The race hotel. Yeah.
What were you doing at the race hotel?
Good question.
Because like, it wasn't our hotel. Like, we shouldn't have been in that hotel.
No, that's where we had to pick up, because we had elite stars and we had to pick up the bibs. And although, I still ran the first half, so we had to pick the bibs up from there. Yeah.
Yeah, a good hack. If anyone is just like in a major city for their marathon, find out what the elite hotel is and just go sit in the lobby. You know, Stephen Haas walked past. He had a chat to Jordo for a while. He had a busted knee. He was limping around. Ray Flynn. They're just like, And he'd point out people, go, oh yeah, that guy over there, he's the boss of like New York Marathon. Like, he'd be having meetings to try and get his field sorted, and just just great to be like a fly on the wall, just getting to see some of these people. Like Clayton Young walked past, Connor Mance, like they're all just a couple of meters from you.
Were you doing too much stuff in those days before the race?
Yeah, so this was like the Friday. So like, we did a bit on the Friday, and we also checked out the main kind of street, and we picked up our bibs. And interesting thing where like the expo is not that good, because most of the people are like renting shop fronts on the main street. So they're not going to the expo, but they'll rent a building and have activations and stuff going on. So we just strolled up and down. We didn't really go into many stores, but yeah, that space where like you saw the Hoka space, and they're still doing the graphics on the front of their store. And then 2 doors down, you got Tracksmith, who's got a line of 50 people waiting to get into their shop. So that whole culture of like niche, heaps of brands I'd never heard of. Just, niche, cool. Like, Boston seemed like a really cool city. Like, everyone was trendy, and this whole hipster running scene. Like you go into Nike and there was hardly anyone in there. Say Hoka didn't even have their signs up yet. There weren't many in there, but then you got all these little niche brands with, lines out the door. So that was interesting to see. And then we kind of just laid low between then and race day. A few more jogs. I went to an NBA game, went and saw the Celtics and the 76ers, the first game of their playoffs. Probably not ideal for the day before a marathon. But I was
Jordo sort that out for you?
No, I sorted that out for myself. But probably, I don't know, I've never been to an NBA game before. Might not ever go to one again. But, yeah, that was good. And then the race day rolls around, Patriots Day on the Monday. Yeah, you check your bag into the yellow school buses. So you find the school bus that has, red bib 200 to 300, and then you show them your bib number and they put it on the yellow school bus. And then a lot of kind of waiting around to then line up to get onto the school buses that then take you to the start line, which it's about probably about an hour's drive, not over the course, but still you start thinking yourself on that drive out there that you're like, I've got to run back to here. Like it's a bit of a daunting feeling being like, we've been on the road for about an hour and I've got to get back using my feet. And then you get off the bus and they put you into this, like, I guess it's a big secondary school, and you're on the oval and there's like portaloos everywhere and there's a big, like big marquees. And when you're out there, you're taking like everything. So, you checked in your bag already, and then it's anything you got out there, you're going to leave there. So we had like big jackets and beanies and gloves, and you just got to be smart about being organized because you got this logistic that you don't usually have. And they kind of hold you there until I think it was 9:15. They opened up the red bibs to be able to go to the start line. And it was really like an eye-opener with the security because we're all on this oval surrounded by buildings. And then you look up to the top of the buildings and there's the snipers are set up like with the guns pointed like down to where you are. And you're like, oh yeah, this is, if shit kicks off here, these guys are taking someone out really quick. Like it's, I never had a sniper's gun like pointed in my general direction before, but it was a good reminder to how serious the security is in these things. And then you have like this, I think it's about a K through these back streets of the town you start in to get to the actual start line. So everyone's kind of on the jog, like jostling a bit because you're thinking, well, where you want to get down there first so you're getting a decent start pen. And then
it is still 45 minutes, isn't it, before the
45 minutes before the start, yep.
So you're essentially not having a real warm-up. Like
so that was our warm-up. So that was and then there was a couple of portaloos on the way and you're like, oh, Jordo and I are looking at each other like, do we stop in here? Like I probably need to get one more wee out. Like, so but every second you're in that portaloo, you got floods of people running past you and that could mean that you're going to be more back at the start line. But yeah, we quickly had a quick pit stop and then got to the start line, and then our like red start zone was start zone 1, but it was broken up in like 6 sections. So we were 1-1. And by the time we got up to our one, we were like pretty much on the front line. And then, they bring out there was the push carts. They were the one, not so much the wheelies. I think the wheelies went first. And then this was the one where like people push people in like wheelchairs and stuff, which is, that would be so hard. Like so much admiration for people to do that. And then, they went and then they rolled the elite girls out. No, the elite guys were first. Pulled out Pat Tiernan and I yelled out to him. I'm like, hey, Pat, go. I don't think he has any idea who I am, but he heard the Australian accent. And then, they went off and then the ladies come out and we saw Izzy, and Izzy kind of gave us a bit of a wave, and Lisa was there as well. And then, we just sat on the start line and they had a big flyover of this like army, massive like fighter plane, national anthem. It's all patriotic there. And then everyone started kind of talking and a few guys are like, hey, is anyone aiming for 2:16 today? And they're like, about 5 guys put their hand up and I'm thinking, oh, I've got to shuffle back a bit here. So I was probably 3 or 4 deep on the start line there. A couple of Chriso's mates, a couple of Norwegians I was talking to, which was good. And then the gun goes and it's just 40 metres downhill, first K. I ran 3:11. I reckon 80 people passed me in the first K. And it just begins this up and down roller coaster of hills going down, going up, of epic crowds.
how long had you been standing still before the gum went to then just go out the door and run a 3:11? Was it
Yeah, it
like
would have been
we standing still for
at
20
least,
minutes?
oh yeah, 25, 30 minutes probably. Like
Oh,
you're trying to jump up and down and you've stripped off at this stage and you're chucking your stuff over the top and yeah, and it's the weirdest 3:11 kilometer I've ever ran. Like because you got the brakes on the whole time. You're looking at your watch going, I'm flying. Guys, girls, elderly people, young people are all just like flocking past you. It's yeah, a real experience, and you can feel your quads in that first K just getting beat up already. You know when you got your brakes on and you're just smashing your quads going downhill,
yeah.
and then yeah, like my plan was to try to run the first half in 71 minutes and do that as comfortably as I could, and then pretty much let the hills slow me down. I think you hit them at about 28K, well, maybe 26K, somewhere around there, and then still have a bit of juice up the top of those to finish off strong. And yeah, I got all the downhill Ks like pretty good. I was lapping my watch every mile because I only had 5K markers, and it's just a blur of up, down, people going past you. You can like I never really ran with too many people. Like you'd run with someone for a bit, but then they'd drop off, or people just go flying past you. And because I'm not great on the up or the downhills, it was a course that yeah, I got through half in 71:10, but my heart rate was already like creeping up. And then from the hills, I just stopped looking at my watch and just worked on effort. I just had heart rate showing, and yeah, got to the top of the hills feeling all right, ran strong off them, and started picking up the pace a bit down them. And then I got to like 39K, and I was just like, both my legs are so hard to lift here. And Olivia gave me like one of her little bracelets to wear during the race because she was worried I was going to forget her, which is a bit of a worry when your daughter's telling you that before you go overseas for a week and a bit. But I just looked down at that bracelet and I was like, I just need this bracelet. I just need memories of this kid to get me through these next 3K. And I was bleeding like 20 seconds a K for the last 3K. And I honestly came into like the last couple of turns at Bolston Street is just 10 deep the whole way, like for the last mile. And I was like, oh yeah, I think this is 2:23. And then I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, ooh, those hills slow me down more than I thought they did. And then yeah, just over, I was 2:25:10 and saw Izzy there straight away. She was like just next to the finish line. I was like, how'd you go? She's like, yeah, 2:25. And I'm like, hey, 2:25 what? Thinking that there's only so many seconds she can say here to knock me off. And she's like, yeah, 2:25:06. And I'm like, 2:25:10. And then our splits are like identical. And then we had a good laugh about that. And then, yeah, we caught up later at the pub, but her race sounded very similar to mine in the way we felt throughout there.
Were you able
But
to enjoy that last three? Like, obviously, the crowds would have been amazing, but were you just looking forward to getting it done, or were you able to really take in that atmosphere?
yeah, the last like two and a bit Ks were tough. Like, you know, when a marathon's like, and you're just like, oh, I really need to find the finish line now. Like that feeling, that's what I was having. And I was still, you know, getting good energy off the crowds, but I was in a lot of discomfort there and I just wanted to finish. But up until that point, like I ran, as Kipchoge would put it, I ran a beautiful 39K, like effort wise. And even a few people like, oh, you're disappointed. I'm like, nah, I kind of nailed this like 95% of the time. And that's just the time I run on a course like that with, you know, probably being a bit unfit going in. So, yeah, nearly got it right for the whole 42K, but just that last three that my legs have never felt that before.
I guess you can really see why it suited Deke so well back in the day, like him just destroying his legs over those hills at
Mm.
Stromlo and that sort of thing. It would be perfect training for Boston.
Yeah, I was talking to Andy about it yesterday. I'm just like, this is the people that, and that's why I think the pros ran so quick because they're so strong in the legs. They do that many miles, they do that much gym work. They're naturally talented runners. It's had a night. We had like, it was like a 10, 15K an hour tailwind, like the whole way. It was beautiful. Weather was like, temperature was nice. I had arm warmers on, but I wasn't really that cold. It was a dream day weather wise. Like not like Ballarat yesterday when it was like massive wind and it would push her along, but you were just getting 2 seconds a K every K, probably just in ease. But yeah, and I was talking to Izzy about it as well, and she's like, I did some hilly long runs, and I know you're interviewing her tomorrow, which she'll probably talk about, but she's like, I did 6 hilly long runs, or I did this new gym program for the last 10 weeks, but I think you need to do it for like 2 years if you want to run a good Boston, or you need to be that Andy Buchanan guy who's doing hilly long runs 48 weeks of a 52-week year, to just build that strength in your legs to be able to handle that course and make the most of the downhills.
Yeah.
But, mate, get a ticket. Get there. I know you're tight with money. I'm happy to, like, chip in half your airfare or something. I can transfer you some Qantas points because you've been involved in the sport for 30 years and you've never had crowd interaction like this.
Oh, mate, Noosa Bolt's pretty good.
No, it's not. I went to Ballarat yesterday and I'm like, guys, this is embarrassing how bad these crowds are. They don't just cheer. They just go, like, it's not like, yeah, well done, woohoo. It's just like, no, I'm going to scream at you. And because it's like they treat it with so much respect because you actually have to qualify to get into it. And they're just so like stoked that you're in their country to do their race. Like you're walking around afterwards and people are like, oh, congratulations, sir. Well done on the marathon. Like it's like you win an Olympic gold medal if you got to participate or you got a finisher's medal. What about the flight the next day back from, Boston to LA? They're like, I got business class, you can board first. Then they're like, now if you ran the Boston Marathon yesterday, you can board next. You know, you're an inspiration for everyone here at United Airlines. And you're like, what? Like, that would never happen in Australia.
I'd love to know, and this is probably something like when we eventually get Deke on, is what it was like back then, because obviously they had the Boston bombings in 2013, and I think it was like, what was the saying there? Was it Boston
strong,
or that sort of thing? And I wonder if since
that's still
then,
written everywhere.
I wonder if since that, I'm wondering whether since the bombings, whether people have even got around that event even more to show, like more so for like, we're a strong community.
Locals were telling me that exact thing, that it was like that brought the event to everyone together. And now it's like, oh, this event was the victim of a terrorist attack. Now we've got to show in numbers how much we love this event, and we're not going to be defeated by that terrorist attack. Because was it 2013?
Yeah, it was 2013. I remember it was like 3 weeks before I made my debut in Japan.
Yeah. And it's, at times you're running along, like I think you turn right on Hereford, left on Boylston, like that's the last 600, 800 meters. And I was running through there thinking like a bomb went off around this next corner. Like the noise and the energy and the enthusiasm from the crowd. And then imagine what that would have been like or imagine if like people didn't get to finish that day, like the course got closed. Imagine.
Yeah, well, they diverted people. Because I remember Deke was over there with the Indigenous Marathon Project, and after a certain time, they had to change the course a little bit.
Okay, so they put him in another direction and got him. Yeah, okay.
I think they still got them like to 42K, but they had to just go a different way.
Yeah, but even that confusion, like, you know what your mind's like at 40K into a marathon. Imagine being diverted off course, not knowing why, what's going on. You visualize finishing in that straight, and then the sirens and the emergency services trying to get in there. Like, it would have been horrific.
How'd you pull up compared to other marathons?
Yeah, pretty bad. Like initially pretty bad. And like you do that 30-hour flight home or whatever, that's terrible. Like you're hardly sleeping. You get up on the flight to go to the toilet or to stretch your legs, and you're just like, my legs don't work. So I feel all right jogging though. I've jogged the last couple of days, but still trying to get over it.
Yeah.
It's got to take a while.
Should we go through, I guess, the results at the top end?
Yeah, let's do it.
As you said,
fast day.
Yeah, incredible weather. John Career, like this guy knows how to win marathons. He's so consistent. 2:01:52, which was a course record. He also retained his title from the previous year. Felix Simbu, second, 2:02:47. Benson Kipruto was third, 2:02:50. Pat Tiernan was 28th in 2:09:59. And I saw a day or two after his wife put out a post of how, I guess, average his prep was. So for him to run sub 210 off what he was doing was pretty incredible. But if you looked at the results, like just so many top sort of Americans running, 2.5, 2.4, 2.5, like it's yeah. So and then in the women's, Sharon Lactate got the win there, 2:18.51. She was also defending champion. Lois Chemnung second, 2:19.35. Mary Ngugi Cooper, 2:20.07. From an Aussie perspective, Izzy was 16th, 2:25.06, and Lisa Waitman was 22nd in 2:32. And yeah, hats off to Lisa. I saw some stat came out after the race where she's the only person that's completed all 7 marathon majors, been to the Commonwealth Games, Olympics, and World Championships. So just shows, I guess, the longevity and the success that she's had over her career. And when you consider early on in her career, like she was so injury prone, for her to have achieved all of that, yeah, hats off to her.
Imagine the memories and the experiences. Like I caught her a couple of times. She was on the same flight as me going over LA to Boston, and then saw her in the lobby, and then also she was getting her like 7-star medal as I was walking through getting my participation medal, which doesn't stack up real well when you're seeing someone getting their 7-star. But yeah, I've just banged on for 20 minutes about having these lifetime memories from this race, and then she's like, "Oh yeah," and her kid was there, like to be able to travel with your son. And here's a story, Pete, about when I went to the Commonwealth Games, when I went to the Olympics, when I did which 7 marathon major story do you want today, Pete? Like, yeah, how good are some of her stories going to be for a kid when he grows up?
Just some other stats. There are 13 men that finished inside 2:06 and 10 women that finished inside 2:23. So it's one of the deepest marathons or Boston marathons in history. American course records went down in both the men's and the women's. Zahair Taubi ran 2:03.45 and Jess McLean 2:20.49. So that's Boston.
Boston, yeah, we went straight to the pub afterwards, like still in our super shoes and stuff. And Jordo and I just like on our phones, just reading the results, and it was like, what? Like even like Charles Hicks, second marathoner, just a young kid, runs 2:04.35. Like Clayton Young didn't make the top 10, did he? And he ran 2:05.41.
Yeah,
I would have liked like Connor Mance, like him being injured and missing this. You're like, oh, what could have he done there?
Did you see Scott Forwell came out and sort of not complain, but basically saying that the super shoes were ruining the spectacle a little bit, and then Rory Linkletter I think replied to that or responded to that on like Sidious Mag interview, and he said, "Look, I can say this because I'm good mates with him, but Scott's just filthy because that race would have never suited him because." He was always the guy that would run through the pack, just picking up carnage, but there was no carnage. And I do seem to think that the shoes probably, although you proved that your legs still get beat up even in super shoes, but maybe
I hadn't run over a hill for
that's
7 years. Yeah,
but maybe the pros, and this is why Deke I think was so good because he was probably the same. He just backed his strength in Boston. Whereas you probably don't need quite as much strength because the shoes can potentially help you a little bit.
Yeah. So like when we were in the lobby and we were talking to Dathan Ritzenheim, because he had both his guys ran 2:05, he was saying like his athletes were watching old videos of the race to try to do some like course study and tactics and stuff. And he was saying to them, don't watch anything pre-super shoes. Because the races are different now, and you're not gonna bleed as much time. So don't go thinking, oh, people are popping up Heartbreak Hill and you can make up 2 minutes because now you might make up 20 seconds when someone's legs go. So that was when he said that, my ears kind of pricked up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Like I only watched the last 5 years.
Maybe I'll go through half in 69 then. Maybe I won't bleed as much time.
Yeah. No, that's the thing though. You're still like, it's still a marathon at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like there's still risk. And that's what I was like, when you guys were like, nah, best conditions ever, just roll the dice and try to run 68. I'm like, I've still got to run 2K worth of running here. And I know this course doesn't suit me. And that's going to end really badly if I try that.
Well, even Izzy, like Izzy runs a lot of miles, is like really strong, but the hills sounded like beat her legs up
Yeah.
massively as well.
She actually said she was like starting to feel it at 25K. She's like, that's when she first got some like twinges in her legs or something to be like, oh, this isn't going to be easy today.
Yeah.
And that's before you hit the uphill. I
Yeah,
reckon
okay.
the uphill, Croaks, could be a bit of a hot take. Not as bad as everyone makes out to be. Not as steep. Hills aren't that hilly, but I think
Just gradual, is it? It's just like
yeah.
just a long gradual climb.
Wow, no, there's 4. So you like go up over and down, up over and down, up over and down. So you get what you go up, you kind of get some respite to catch your breath to go again. But then the last one, which they call Heartbreak, has a massive like banner over the top saying like, congratulations, you've summited Heartbreak.
Yeah.
And I got to that and I'm like, they put that in the wrong spot. Like I was expecting a bit more than that. Like we still got another couple 100 meters around this corner, but no, that was it.
Is it because they're runnable? Like, is it more like you can actually get into a pretty good rhythm up them?
Yeah, not like super steep. So yeah, Croaks, that was Boston. Still on a high, life-changing experience. As I said, if you can ever get there. It's at a stage now when I'm like, maybe I'll just do Boston every April, experience that, and I just pick another one to do at the second half of the year.
Oh, I reckon based on the vibe yesterday at London, maybe that's on the list too.
Yeah, and New York. It's got me thinking more about, because I ran so many marathons where it's just like, how do you run the fastest you can possibly run? And now I'm like, what do I want to get out of the sport and experience things I haven't experienced before? You get a bit elitist too, where I was like seeing people at Ballarat yesterday who have ran Boston, and I'm like, oh yeah, hey, Boston. Remember, like me and you ran Boston. Like now I know what you mean about Boston. So yeah. And the course is so unique. I was talking to Jordo about it, and he's just like, you can't analyze, like you can't sit there and go, oh, okay, I'm going to pick Izzy Bat-Doyle's performance to shreds, or like, you know, criticize it or say what she did good or what she didn't, unless you actually have been on that course. Like it's so unique course like that.
And like it's very like weather dependent as well. Like, you know, some years you could run 2:30 and it would be an incredible run because you've battled the wind and the rain for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. If that wind was in the opposite direction, I would have been struggling to break 2:30.
It's probably the one thing I always would have struggled with, I suppose. Like if I went there when I was in really good shape and I ran some incredible time and the weather was amazing, it'd be always like, oh, there's an asterisk.
Yeah.
You know, it's net downhill. You've got a point-to-point tailwind. Whereas
well, that's what we're thinking about those American men results, aren't we?
Well, sort of. Like they're those. Like some of those athletes may never run that time ever again.
Yeah.
And would have they ever run it on a dead flat course? I don't. Well, maybe not.
Yeah,
because obviously hills,
Ryan Hall thing, wasn't it?
Hills still, you know, obviously impact you.
Anyway, tell me about your week, mate. You got the lactate meter. I heard this last week, 3 workouts a week.
Yes. So this week was my first week of doing 3. And it went really well. Like I've certainly strung together like a really solid block since, I guess, my first session was World Cross Trial. So that was basically start of just last day in November or something, and haven't really missed a beat since then. So kicked off Monday, did an hour at 4:24s. Tuesday morning, got out for 8K, 4:22s, and then my session at the track was 10 by K off a minute recovery. So the splits were 3:11, 3:10, 3:10, 3:10, 3:11, 3:11, 3:12, 3:11, 3:15, 3:16. I took lactates after rep 4, 8, and 10. And so I felt really comfortable throughout this whole session. But just before I did my first lactate, I was like, I'm recovering well in a minute, but I definitely knew it was above, like it was close, like it was harder than it sort of should have been, I suppose. So my lactate was 3.5 after rep 4.
So
and then
you want low 2s, don't you?
No, because I'm only doing 1 session a day, anywhere between 2 and 3. But I think probably for the quicker stuff on the track, it's okay to get to 3.
Gotcha.
And I was like 3.5. But like, you know, for most people, I think sort of that LT2 is 4. So you definitely want to stay under that. So I was in 2 minds at 3.5. It's like, well, do I back it off now to get it back to 3, or do I just, because I still felt really comfortable, do I just keep rolling this and I'll just see how much the lactate really spikes by maintaining this sort of pace and rhythm? And so after 8 reps, it was like 3.9. And at that point, I went, okay, let's now back off. So go from like 310s, 311s back to like 315, 316 and see what happens. And my lactate went back to 2.6. So it was sort of fun just playing around. And so next time I know that, okay, I need to be more like 315s at the moment, and then get a lactate after like 4 reps, and then maybe increase the pace from there. So, but like it was an enjoyable session. Like I certainly didn't feel like I was stretched at all. And I was thinking about it, and the difference between the way I'm training now with these K reps and with lactate and stuff versus how I used to train was if I did 10 by a K, I would basically see what's the best I could average for those 10 reps without really like blowing up, but I would still finish at probably a 9.5 out of 10. Whereas, which would be too hard. Whereas now it's like,
or you hit the first one and go, all right, I got to do all 10 at that or quicker.
Exactly. Whereas now it's like, okay, you want to start the session at probably a 5 and you finish at a 7, 7.5. So you're always within yourself. So yeah, that was Tuesday. Wednesday morning, Jai came over to Mulligan's for a run. So I did 12K with him. So it was enjoyable. It was the first time I've run with Jai in ages. He's heading over to Flagstaff, I think today actually. And then he'll do a few races over in Europe. So it was just over 12K at 4:15s, and then got out that afternoon for another 8K at 4:26s. And then Thursday, session on the treadmill, 6 by 6 minutes, 1 minute rest, did 2 reps at 18K an hour, 2 reps at 18.3 and 2 reps at 18.5. Took a lactate after 2 reps and it was 2.5. Took a lactate after 4 reps and it was 2.2, and then took a lactate at the end and it was 2.5, which I don't know if you remember me saying last week, Brady, that I did 6 by 6 minutes in the afternoon the week before, and my heart rate was significantly higher than it was in the mornings, but perceived effort was way lower, and my lactate was under 2 in the afternoon, whereas this session here in the morning, my heart rate was lower, but my lactate was more in the mid 2s as opposed to sub 2, which the thing I'm learning is that perceived effort is matching the lactate way more than what heart rate is.
More than the heart rate, yeah. I always thought it was the other way around. Heart rate was meant to be lower in the afternoon.
Yeah, my heart rate's higher in the afternoon, and so what I'm learning now is that you can only really compare sessions if you can only really compare morning sessions with morning sessions and afternoon sessions with afternoon sessions because of heart rate. But perceived effort is killing all of it. It's like I know, and most of my sessions of 6 by 6 minutes have been in the mornings, and based on the lactates, it shows that I have been in the right zone for those for quite a while now. So I thought that was interesting that the body knows. The body deep down, you know whether you're working too hard or too easy. So that was Thursday. I also did gym that day, and then I got out in the afternoon for 35 minutes in the Brooks Glycerin Max. I hadn't worn this shoe for ages. God, that's a good shoe. Remember that one?
Shoe. It's chunky.
Oh, yeah. Just like I really enjoyed it. So I was 426s.
We got that at the same time that we got the I got the black on black Ghost Max.
Oh yeah.
And I do a lot of walking in that. It's like a work shoe. Took it to Boston, just easy, airport shoe. It's very comfortable.
The Ghost Max, that was my long run shoe for a long time, I think.
You loved it. You know what I wore to Ballarat yesterday?
What?
Had some sick baggy Say Sky pants on. Did you get some of those cool pants?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, had those on. And guess what shoes I had on? Got a lot of comments. People in the race. People in the race are yelling out to me with the shoes.
You're the on ones.
Yeah, the light sprays.
God, I would save them for running. I wouldn't save them for walking around the street.
Mamma mia, did I get some comments on how good I looked yesterday? People should have been concentrating on their races, and they're talking to me on the side of the road going, how good are those shoes? I didn't realize they're so limited.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't worn mine yet.
Yeah, supposedly there's not many of them in the country.
I don't do much on the bike paths, and that's like I don't want to wear that shoe on the trails, so I need to do more on the bike paths.
Yeah.
Friday morning, just got out for the one run Friday, so that was an hour at 4:24. Listened to IRP's top 10 running songs. I enjoyed that one. Like that was probably my favorite. Was the top 10.
Do you want me to go through it now? I'll
Most
go
of the
through it
songs
now.
there were pretty good. Yeah.
I'll go for last time we did this. Thanks to all the people who voted. It's still taking us a while to get to the results here, but last time we told you 20. Oh no, the top 30 down to 20. So 20 was the Nosebleed Section by Hilltop Hoods. 19, Heads Will Roll, the A-Track remix by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs. 18, Right Here Right Now by Fatboy Slim. 17, Homecoming by Kanye West. 16, Bulls on Parade, the Triple J Like a Version by Denzel Curry. 15, Inner Bloom by Rufus. 14, Everlong by the Foo Fighters. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes was number 13. 12, Joker and the Thief by Wolfmother. 11 was Thunderstruck by AC/DC. So that went out last week, Croaks. We got them from 20 down to 10. And then the top 10 was Can't Stop, Red Hot Chili Peppers in 10. Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine at number 9. Bleed It Out by Linkin Park, number 8. That Song in Paris by Jay-Z and Kanye West. People know what I'm talking about there. Number 6 was Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen. You would have been stoked that was in there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I don't love that song, but I do love some other Bruce Springsteen songs.
Okay. Number 5 was Born Slippy by Underworld. Number 4 was Till I Collapse by Eminem. Number 3, Killing in the Name of just Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine. Number 2 surprised me. Did you get a surprise with this?
Little bit, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Brightside by The Killers come in at number 2. That's a great song.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've never thought about it as being a running song.
Yeah.
But number one, that's
This was
nailed that one.
This was paying $1.01 to win this thing. It was Lose Yourself by Eminem. Yeah. So Eminem, 2 songs in the top 4.
Was it that Patreon episode where you said bring a song and don't make it a shit one? And I said Lose Yourself, Eminem, and that sort of started the whole song conversation?
Well, it's kind of been going for years because we always do our Patreon shows with like, what song do you want to go in with, out with, like, and then Nick started picking real stupid stuff. So I'm like, Nick, people listen to our podcast when they're running. Give them a good song to be running to. So it kind of, it's developed throughout this year.
That's always been my, like, even from back in my like track days, it's the one song that I'm going to get pumped up.
Wait till you hear the Seth interview that I did today. He talks about like, I'll paraphrase it. He finds a good song to run to. He studies like the origin and looks into what the words mean and all that kind of stuff. And then he has it in his head while he races.
Okay.
So he'll be like, hey, with 2 laps to go, I want to be thinking about this part of the song.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Anyway, that was your Friday or something.
That was Friday. Yeah, so then Saturday was my third session for the week. It was another treadmill one. I wanted to just add a little bit of intensity, and this is sort of one of the reasons why I have gone to 3 sessions a week. Cut the midweek long run, but gone to 3 sessions because if I can do 2 standard sort of these sub threshold sessions Tuesday, Thursday, then Saturday I can go like a little bit higher intensity. But obviously, the more intensity I do on the Saturday, the less volume I'll do. So it's almost like a free session to play around with. So jumped on the treadmill again, and I did 4 sets of 6 minutes steady, 2 minutes solid, 90 seconds jog. But halfway through the session, so after 2 sets, I stopped for 90 seconds completely just to take a lactate. So for the 6 minutes steady, I was doing that at 18k an hour. For the 2 minutes like hard, I was pumping that up to 19.5k an hour. And for the 90-second jog, it was 14k an hour. So after 2 sets, my lactate was 3.4, which obviously most of that is just in that 2 minutes of running pretty hard. Like most of that, because it's 17.5 minutes, I think, of sort of continuous running. Most of that was pretty steady. It was just the 2 minutes hard at the end of each set, and that was only raising the lactate to like 3.4, and then did another 2 sets of it, and lactate was 3.8. So so it's all still fairly controlled. And then Sunday was 2 hours, 4:21s, 27.6k. So it was a week of 151k.
Yeah, solid. How did you go on the Sunday long run, coming off a workout on the Saturday?
I was fine, and that's the thing. I think because the workouts are actually not super difficult, plus the treadmill workouts probably don't put quite as much load on the body. Like I definitely noticed coming off the track sessions, even a controlled track session, my calves are definitely more like domsy and worked up compared to when I'm doing stuff on the treadmill. But I've also just dialed the long runs have changed for me now. I'm really almost trying to see how low I can keep my heart rate throughout that whole 2 hours. And so for me, it's like I'm trying to keep it averaging under 130 for the whole 2 hours, which I did. It was 129, I think. So yeah, I felt fine
You've
Sunday.
done about an hour and 45 minutes worth of quality work. Like when you add the workout, like the workout time of those three sessions,
Yeah, but
which is
not
crazy. Like
but
imagine if you did
yeah
a
yeah.
20-minute fartlek in 6 by 6 minutes, you're looking at, 50 minutes worth of work.
But the difference is my body would be more banged up from that
Oh,
50
yeah,
minutes of
yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I'm getting quite fit and strong off controlled sessions, and it's allowing me to pull up well on the recovery days as well. So
How many weeks you got until Sydney 10?
it was 3 weekends just gone. So it'll be
Yeah.
two
So you
two
do this
weekends
for another
from
two?
this week. Was that?
Do this for another two, and then
Yeah,
have
I'm
a
gonna
down week
do.
to the
I'm
race?
gonna have like I'll do standard like either 1Ks or 400s tomorrow off like a minute off for the Ks or 30 seconds for the 400s. I'll do something like 6 minute reps or 10 minute reps on Thursday, and then on Saturday I was going to do like a couple of K tempo, maybe like 8 45-second hills, and then a bit of a tempo at the end. So like a little bit of intensity, but it's only eight 45-second hills as opposed to doing like 2 sets of 8, which I often do when I'm doing hills.
Yeah.
And then the following week, as a bit of a tune up, I think I'm going to do. And actually, Jordo suggested this session. I thought it was quite a good one. So it was like a mile, 90 seconds recovery, 4 or 5 400s off 45 seconds recovery, and then you take 90 seconds recovery after that set. Do another mile, some 400s off a minute recovery, which are a little bit quicker than the ones off 45 seconds, another mile, and then some 400s off 90 seconds recovery. And the 400s are like going from 72s down to like 68s. But 68s off 90 seconds recovery is not crazy hard. Plus, I get 3 controlled miles in there. So just adding a little bit of intensity without going overboard in the lead up to Sydney 10.
Yeah, good. Do you want to thank some Patreon supporters? You want to kick things
Uh,
off?
Yep. Just let me go up. I got Alex Shaw this week. So I coach Alex. He's based in Sydney and he set all of his PBs last year. They are 8:35 for 3K, which was at the New South Wales 3K champs, 14:55 at the Vic 5K, 30:58 at last year's Sydney 10, and 68:10 at the New South Wales Half Marathon champs. And he also ran 2:24 at Gold Coast Marathon. He's a dad to Quinn and he's an associate director financial services at KPMG. Ran Ballarat yesterday and wasn't a PB, but I thought he ran really well. He finished 11th in 2:26.29, which is less than 2 minutes off his PB, which there weren't many people getting within 2 minutes of their PB. So I reckon it was a pretty solid run from Alex.
He ran really well. I messaged you after the race just saying like, hey, that was a strong run from Alex. Wasn't sure what his PB was, how close he was to it, but just watching people out there, I'm like, he looked super strong.
Yeah, and because he ran a PB in Melbourne the year that I ran it, he ran past me at like 30K or something, 32K. And so he executed that one really well. And then he executed Gold Coast last year. And so when we were chatting the day before, I said, look, you've nailed your last 2 marathons. Forget the time. Just remember how you felt in those marathons at 10, 20, 30K and just replicate it. And I said, look, there'll be some people out there that'll go out at the pace that they want to run, regardless of what the weather conditions are, and you'll pick up heaps of people towards the back end. And I reckon he probably did pick up a few people.
Oh, he would have picked up like 20 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a good run. I'm going to thank Sean Dack. He's from Melbourne. He's ran 17:44 at the Albert Park run, 86 minutes at the 2XU wellness run, the half marathon there, and 2:57 at the 2024 Gold Coast Marathon. He's a medical student. Here we go. He's a switched on fella, Sean here, Croaks, at Monash, and has been a guitar teacher in the past. Good fact. I just love a random fact like that. We'll leave it there, Croaks, because we'll use that next one when Moose is back next week. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks to all our Patreon supporters, though, for supporting the Inside Running podcast. It is a mammoth week of content this week. We have a whole lot of interviews booked. So when we kind of work with different brands, sometimes they give us some athletes that we can interview, which is fantastic. Sometimes we just find people to interview, which is also good. But I'm telling you that because when we record them, we just upload them straight away to Patreon. Whereas sometimes we have to wait for certain weekends and stuff to release them. So I interviewed Seth today, always going back and forth with Seth, and he's like, hey, do you want to do an interview? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. So we did an hour interview today, which is on Patreon. You're interviewing Izzy tomorrow.
Wednesday. I'm doing Izzy. Yep.
Wednesday. I think I'm interviewing Alfie Manthorpe sometime this week, which is going to be interesting. Moose is locked in with Connor Mance, the American record holder. So some of those things you'll hear in 5 or 6 weeks. Some of those the Patreon supporters will hear this week. And
I've locked in an Olympic medalist, Brady.
Oh, yes.
So that'll be not this Wednesday, the Wednesday after.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll tease that one. Hey, we've given a few names. We'll let them hang on that one. And the Road to Somewhere team of Ali, Leanne, and Nico, they're going to record this week. They usually go every fortnight, but because they just raced, they're going to go Thursday night. So expect that Friday morning, Patreon supporters. All right, Croaks, running news. It's big. I've already done Boston, so I feel like we'll tick that off. But this week's running news segment is proudly brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. Let's go with the shocking, unbelievable, mind-blowing London Marathon, which occurred last night, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening.
So I'll go through the results. So for some context, I watched like half of this race until they sort of cut it on, I think it was like Flow Track. And then after that, I basically just had it on my computer, the tracker going. So
I saw like up for NordVPN.
Yeah, I need to sort that out. I asked Viv because like Viv's a lot younger than me. I said, "Oh, are you all across this like VPN stuff?" And she's like, "No." So I'm gonna have to.
So was I until like I was in the same boat. I'm like, these things are too hard. I'm gonna get a virus on my computer. Like I don't know how this is gonna work. But then I really wanted to watch Collingwood play when I was overseas. So I'm like, I don't know. And we do sponsored ads for NordVPN all the time. So I looked into used our discount code, signed up. It was super cheap, and it is really, really easy to use. So, yeah, I could watch it through BBC yesterday, and it was great quality.
So, obviously, they wanted 60-30 through halfway, the men, and they basically hit it, like, on the nose. It was, 60-29. And then for most of the race, I could see that they were tracking for probably, like, somewhere between 2 hours 30 and 2 hours 1. And then all of a sudden, they must have got to, it's either must have been the 35K split, and it's gone to like sub 2. I'm like, how the hell have they dropped it from being well over 2 hours to now on track to run under 2? And then I saw they'd run a 13:54 from 30 to 35K. And then not only did they do that, they then ran 13:42 from 35 to 40K. So that 10K from 30 to 40 was 27:36, which is basically equal to our national 10K road record. And they're doing this from 30 to 40K. Incredible. Sebastian Sawe got the win, 1:59:30. Yomif Kejelcha, who I think he's going to go down as my favorite distance runner. Like, the guy has been around for a long time. He's raced all different distances, always has a smile on his face, gives 100% all the time. Like, he's always like towards the back end of the race pushing it. Unfortunately, he's always the bridesmaid. Poor bloke comes out, runs 1:59:41. So the second guy ever under 2 hours in an official race on debut. Absolutely amazing. And then Jacob Kiplimo, third, 2 hours and 28 seconds. From an Aussie point of view, Tim Vincent was 17th, 2:09:41. So that's only 1 second outside his PB. Oh. And Liam Buden was 23rd in 2:12:55.
Tough second half, Liam. I think he put on his Strava notes, but they're still solid results, aren't they?
They are, yeah. And so that second half by Sebastian was 59:01.
So he's putting a minute into Brett Robinson
Or
at the
Jack.
national record.
Or Jack.
Oh, sorry, Jack now.
Jack.
Yeah. Yeah, Jack, meet him at the 21K mark and you're still going to get dropped by a minute.
Oh, like that being said, Brady, I'm not overly surprised, and for the reasons being, Sebastian Sawe has been there knocking on the door for a while. Like the guy ran 2:02 in Berlin
Yeah, it was
last
hot
year,
too.
and it was hot, and
Yeah.
he was on his own. You then go to a course like London, which we know it's fast. Like world records have been set there. It's obviously very weather dependent, but the weather was looking really good. Then you've got guys like Kejelcha, who is the second fastest half marathoner ever, and Kiplimo, who's the fastest half marathoner ever. These guys are obviously new to the marathon, and so Sawe wasn't running the last 10, 12K by himself like he was in Berlin and most of his marathons. And even
Valencia also won.
Someone like Kipton, like how many of his fast marathons he was solo for the last 12K. So he's actually, or probably even longer. So the fact that he was in a race, there was 3 of them there all the way through to close to 40K, probably got a little bit more out of him as well.
Are you telling me it's like because it's, I don't know. I've put in our message group like the 2 or 3 days before. I'm like, I got a feeling something's going to happen at London. This weather's looking amazing. Is it a perfect storm of like the competition factor, like you just mentioned? The fueling is so much better. Like I think Morton put some stuff out about how many, like he was pushing 115 grams per hour. So, running out of glycogen isn't an issue. The new shoes, like Adidas, Evo, whatever's, I'm not sure. I can never know the correct Adidas names, but 98 grams. Like things are just getting a little bit lighter, and the incentive. I always think like also the fact that everyone ran it quick at Boston. Like, does that, you know what I mean? These guys watching that and going, okay, it's our turn next week. Like the high tidal is all ships kind of thing. Standards moving.
But does this impact your belief in your own running? Because I've been thinking about it a lot, and it doesn't matter what distances you look at. Like even like 1500s now, like the amount of guys that are able to run either under 330 or really low 330s has increased significantly over the last few years. Just like the marathon, people are running faster. Like, do we need to look at that as like you and me and go, well, like you're running, 219, 220, like old shoes years and years ago. The sport has moved on. Everyone's running faster. Why can't we run faster?
Thanks, Croaks.
Do you ever think that way though?
Wow. Well, more to that, I'm sitting at Ballarat Marathon yesterday and I'm standing at the 41K mark and I watched everyone from, 2 hours and 18 through to about 3 hours and 30 come in. And 90% of people are having bad days. And I'm going, the marathon is so hard. It is a tricky event. It's so hard to coach. It's so hard to get right. These people have all been smashed by the weather. Hats off to them for getting to the finish line. And then I turn this stream on and go, these blokes make this look like a piece of piss. Like at least Kejelcha vomited across the line. We saw some, but Sawe is just robotic. Those robots that ran the half marathon over in China the week before looked like them.
That was hilarious. Hey, what about the one that collapsed on the start line, tripped on the timing mat?
Yeah, got him. I still don't. Yeah. Anyway, they're machines. I still don't see why people were up and about that. But yeah, so and then I look at like Alicia McCoglin, like she ran 224 or something. Like that's
Did you see a foot though?
Yeah, that's not good for ASICs, is it? But she runs like 30:05 for 10K. Like she should be able to convert to. So then, and then even the lady who was third at the world champs, like I think she ran a PB, but it was similar around that 224, 225. And you're like, well, Jess Denson's putting 4 minutes into these ladies.
Yeah.
So it seems to work for some people, not for others. We might be somewhere in between. But
I suppose you look at
Cheptegei. It's not working for Cheptegei. He runs 206 and he smashes all these blokes over 10K.
Yeah, he's probably regretting leaving the track, I reckon, old Cheptegei. But I definitely think having Kiplimo and Kejelcha joining the marathon ranks is good for the sport because, especially if you get all those guys together, because they're the quickest half marathoners. So you just got to look at the whole. If if they're running 57 and a half for the half marathon, well, Kiplimo's run 56 something.
Put him in that
Yeah.
same field. He would have been with him with a K to go as well, I feel.
Yeah. And look, I don't think it's just then. I don't think it's just the new shoes because Assefa, she won the women's in 2:15:41, which took a little bit of time off her women's only world record. I think it was 2:15:50, the old record. Beat Hellen Obiri 2:15:53, and Joyciline Jepkosgei was third in 2:15:55. So Tigist Assefa, like she's run nearly 4 minutes faster than that. So it's not necessarily the shoes.
She put like, what was that? 12 seconds into him in like 300 meters. Like that is a big close to gap them by that much. They're all together coming around the final or second last bend.
You were saying, Brady, you don't go to bed though feeling up and about after watching this.
I was talking to Seth about this today. Like I still have too many questions because it's not because he kind of pushed back and was like, oh, you can't just, say someone's cheating straight away. You got to have some belief. And it's not so much in Sebastian Sawe. It's in what we've let happen in the sport. So if I got excited about everything that was amazing the last 6 years, 50% of those things weren't actually true. Like people have been, banned a year later, 6 months later. The state of the sport is in makes it very hard to believe phenomenal performances like this. And it's a sad state that you then go to bed that night going, I don't know if I feel like if I'm celebrating it, I have just been bluffed. And people go to me, they'll send in the thing going, yeah, but he volunteered to do all this extra testing, which you're like, yeah, cool. But I don't know, like Lance Armstrong never tested positive, did he? Like, maybe is it so advanced now that they're like, test him as much as you want, you're never going to get him. I don't know enough about all this stuff, but I still feel you have to be a bit skeptical. Like you look into is it his manager or his coach?
Yeah, I just got it here, Claudio Berardelli. Is that his coach? I think it's his coach, isn't it? Or is it his manager?
Type that name into Google and have a bit of a read. It's so when you start digging a bit deeper, it's I don't know. I almost don't want to believe it because I'm like, I kind of believe the Roof Chepngetich stuff.
Yeah. It must be his coach because I'm on his World Athletics profile now and it says his manager is Eric Lilott from the US. Lilott. So it must be his coach. But yeah, he was, well, according to these news reports, was associated with Federico Rosa.
Jep too as well, wasn't he?
Was that? Oh, yeah.
I think he was in charge of the camp that.
Yeah, Rita Jep too. Yeah.
Who's been banned twice.
It says here he was arrested a year later and charged with administering EPO to multiple marathon winner Rita Jep too.
So come on. So like, you can't sit there and be like,
yeah,
you got to at least ask a question.
Oh, definitely.
Because these guys do not tire. I feel he can break 1:59. Look at the first half. It wasn't like, it was still a bit warm there too.
Yeah, look, Kejelcha, as I said, he's my favourite. I'd hate to think that he was doing something dodgy, but I always feel like he never wins. That's the thing. He doesn't have the ability to win these things. He always gets outdone by somebody.
Yeah, I don't know. It's and it's hit mainstream media again. And then I'm like, is the whole testing, like the extra money to test him more, is that just like the PR stunt? It's like, because people are messaging me going, isn't it great? Like people that don't know a lot about the sport, like, isn't it great that we don't have to question this world record because he's done these extra tests? And I'm like, well, maybe you're correct, or maybe you just got fooled. Like the PR stunt there has just smashed you in the face. I don't know.
So that video I saw where one of the reporters asked him how many times he'd been tested in the lead up to London, I couldn't understand his answer. Did you hear it? What did he say?
He kind of just said, oh, not that many this time, because he did the big testing protocol leading into Berlin. And I think his manager was in a video saying, like, after the race yesterday, that they've now spread it out more. So there was, some crazy amount he was getting tested, like regularity, can't even say that word, leading into Berlin, and now they've spaced it out way more And he was saying like, no, not as many as I had before Berlin.
Do you know what I loved about the race though, Brady? Was we've sort of in this era at the moment where there's been a couple of like really standout marathoners and they're winning races by minutes. Like we saw Sawe at Berlin last year win by a few minutes. We saw who's the girl now that's ranked second all time? She won somewhere like she ran 2:10. No, the other one,
Tigist Assefa.
Yeah, not Tigist Assefa, the other one that came out a few weeks ago and ran something crazy. I'm going to find it. But No.
Yeah, Barcelona.
Yeah, what's her? Here we go. Women now. I've got it.
Yeah, but are you concerned though when it gets to like our spring, their autumn? There'll be like one at Chicago. There'll be one at what else is there? New York. One will wait for Valencia. Like we won't get the heads.
Foddy and Tesfaye.
That's it, old Tesfaye.
During 2:10:51. So what I loved about this was that, so those marathons are really boring. Like we saw them with Kipchoge where it was just a time trial. Here, there were 3 guys and there were 3 women and they were going at it pretty much all like right until the finish line. Well, within the last couple of K anyway.
So you're seeing good racing.
Yeah. And fast, like not only good racing, but fast times as well. So you get best of both worlds.
Yeah. It was a massive leap forward in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I start thinking my like mate Kippers as well. Like he was setting up Ineos stuff. He had pacers jumping in and out, like Jack Rayner and Brett Robinson, Stewie. They're pulling a shift.
Yeah.
He had drinks handed to him. They had those laser beams on the road. Now Sebastian's just doing it on the streets of London. He doesn't need
but he still had competition. And I think you underestimate how much competition can really raise your performance because, yes, Kipchoge had all of those things, but he's not racing anyone. He knows that he's the only one out there that's actually running the full marathon. So there's not as much, like the incentive for him would basically just be creating history. He's not racing anybody. He's just racing the clock.
Especially those years at Berlin, like it was the pacemakers to 32K.
Yeah.
And he was the only one still with him. Yeah.
Because you got to think of like Sawe's mentality would be like, well, he's the big dog marathoner at the moment, really. And you've got 2 guys that have come from cross country and track in Kiplimo and was it Kejelcha, and obviously good half marathoners. So he wants to protect that number 1 sort of marathon ranking.
Hey, I think I've got our man on the ground. He's up and about. Let me see if we can patch him in now. Must be about, I don't know, 8 p.m., 8 a.m., 7. I don't even know what's the time conversion. Be pretty early
mid-morning, I reckon.
Mid-morning. Let's see if I can get him in. All right, Croaks, we did have our man, our correspondent down there on the ground. I think we should be thanking Puma for this because I think that's who's paid for the trip that he's on at the moment. Moose, we just finished recapping the episode. Tell us what you saw. Tell us what you're actually doing over there. I think you're doing some presentations. I thought he was just drinking beers for a couple of days, Croaks, but welcome to you. Good to see your face. Good to hear your voice.
Yes, thanks, boys. Big weekend of running. Geez, I'm a bit flat to miss this episode because I reckon I would have got five votes on talking about all their Ballarat results. Super coach over here. Hope you mentioned that.
Haven't got to Ballarat yet. We've put in order.
Come on.
Like
that should have been what you introed.
Then we'll go Ballarat. Congratulations for your successful 2 winners at our Ballarat Marathon yesterday, by the way.
No, I'm here with Puma for the running summit. So I'm here as like a retailer, not as a inside running host. There's a bunch of retailers from all around the world. Kind of similar to like the Mizuno ones I went to, but yeah, this is in London and they timed it with the London Marathon. They're doing big activations over here. They've taken like this old school building and they've got this nitro kind of energy lab thing where they've got treadies and wear tests. They're showing us all the new innovations. Yeah, it's fucking good. They bloody look after us. But yeah, today's full of meetings and just learning about the future and seeing brand strategy for these guys.
What was the vibe like yesterday, Moose? Where were you stationed?
Yeah, so we were in like this little cafe / pub at the 40K mark. So like we were looking off the balcony and we saw the 40K timing mat. And this is at like along the river I've watched it. I walked down there and I'm like, this is unbelievable. I've watched this race so many times on TV and I know exactly where we are. Like it's 2K to go basically. And you see him sort of coming up off the river and turning back into the city. Yeah, we got there early, like at the race start. So we were still like an hour off anyone coming through. And it was already busy and people had started to find their spot on the fence. And then by the time the runners come through, it's 6 or 7 deep. It's constant noise and cheering for, I don't know, 3-4 hours straight. The women going past was epic because we were watching on TV and we'd run out and we saw the three of them together. But when the men came past, like the velocity they were moving at, unbelievable to see. Like considering you're at the 40K mark and you've just seen blokes come past you at like 21, 22K an hour and next to each other humming. What happened was Kiplimo came past after and I'm like, oh, look how bad this bloke looks. Like this guy looks terrible. He's had a shocker. And then you come back inside, watch the TV and you see what he's run. Like this is like, we're on a new level as a new standard, isn't it?
Well, Moose, like that they ran like 27:30 something from 30 to 40K. So no wonder it looked like they were moving. You would have thought you're watching a 10K race, not a marathon.
Oh, I know. And that's kind of what, like, they have this setup here where if you could come in and if you ran a kilometer under 4 minutes on the treadmill, you won a free pair of Puma race shoes. And they had a big prize, like free Puma kit for a year if you ran the fastest 1K for the weekend. And so the guy who won the fastest 1K, he had only just run faster than Sawe's last K in the marathon. And this guy's like he's like a local semi-elite dude who runs 1500s or something. The scale of it's kind of blowing our mind. It's like it's almost unrelatable now for most people.
Weather, Moose, was it like absolutely perfect?
It was kind of warm, like it warmed up. There was sun exposure later on, definitely, like shorts and t-shirt kind of weather. But early on, just crisp as, and tailwind. Like these guys nailed it. Those UK boys, they complain a lot. The weather over here is actually pretty good.
What about you're doing everything with Puma, but like just the vibe with the whole event in general?
That was big. It's like, I think like a lot of these crew come from Boston straight across to London, like because Puma's based in Boston, like the HQ is. And so they said like Boston's 30,000 people, I think, and London's 60,000. And the city's so much bigger that even those guys said this is another level of what a major is. And you can see it, like the amount of what stood out for me is the amount of charity runners out there, and then all the charity groups that get out along the course, and like their entire organizations come and support. So we haven't really got that in Australia, the charity stuff, but over here it is mammoth. But yeah, people out, like what happened, we walked past the finish back to our hotel and like all the little pubs, they just spill out onto the street. So there's people like they finish and they just go to the pub immediately over here. And then the pubs are so small, everyone just drinks out on the road. Crazy vibes. But I mean, the weather helped. It was like 20 degrees sunny. So everyone's just having the best time.
When did the vibe in town change, Moose? Because I remember when you first got over there, you said in our group chat, like, oh, I don't even feel like there's a major on compared to what it was like in Sydney.
Yeah. And so I definitely felt that on the Friday Arvo when I ran. And then the Saturday morning I got out in Hyde Park and then it had changed. Like then I started to see all the running tourists that were all the activations, like the fitness tour groups, the marathon tour groups, all the run clubs were out, all the brands were doing their, what they call like activation runs or shakeouts. And the Africans, like the elites were out in the park with their managers and like doing interviews and photo shoots. That was the time. Geez, it really gets you buzzing, the amount of energy getting around. It's like, people talk about the majors being like a money grab, like it's an expensive thing and everyone makes a ton of money, but fuck, it's amazing when you go to a major marathon weekend. Like it is a different level.
Mate, I
We're
heard,
killing Croaks tonight. I've just been banging on for 30 minutes about how I'm going to pay for his flight to go to Boston so he can experience it, Moose.
Well, yeah, he's not going to pay himself, is he?
That's what I said. I know you're tight with money, but I'm happy to chip in if it's going to get you the experience. And I can feel the energy coming from you that it's exactly the same.
It's great.
But he's also up and about because I heard that Usain Bolt bailed him up and asked for a photo.
Oh yeah, how'd you get a photo of Usain? How long did you have to wait for? And we've lost him.
Gone. He's going to have to tell us next week.
Yeah. Tune in next week to hear about Usain Bolt. There he is.
I'm back. Usain Bolt, yeah, he called me out. He said, "You're that bloke on the podcast, and come and get a photo." And then he did this thing where he pointed at me. He's like, "This guy's the boss." And I'm like, "Yeah, all right. Well, sometimes I charge for this, Usain." He's here, like they roll this bloke out just for these things, and he's got no interest whatsoever. But it's cool to see him in person. Big unit. He's a little bit older now. Sort of got the grey in, and he's not super engaged with it. But even in the group here, like just to name drop, there's a guy called Bob Kennedy who croaks his your era. So he's a retailer in the US, I think. So he's here doing what I do. I didn't recognize him, to be honest, so I'm pointing him out.
First non-African to break 13 minutes in the 5K.
Yeah, and the Nike spike called the Zoom Kennedy was named after him.
Yep.
But yeah,
have you met Jose Moose?
Yeah, I met her last night. Yep.
How good is Jose? She got high energy too.
Unleash your energy. That's the Puma, the call card. Unleash your energy. So yeah. That's good. There's good people here. It's been fun. I'm here with Brett Voss actually. He's the Puma rep that's taken us over. You remember Vossy, Michael Voss's brother, played for St Kilda in Brisbane.
You did say his name during the week, and I did not make that connection, but now I know.
He's rolling out G-Train stories to me over beers. It's fucking unbelievable.
How safe did he say his brother's job is? Has he mentioned that?
We had a little chat about that, yeah.
I love that Moose is over there for the marathon, but he's more pumped up about old AFL stories.
Yeah.
Oh, they're good. Fraser Gehrig, just what a bad man.
All right.
When you home, Moose?
I leave tomorrow. So we're working tomorrow morning, and then I'm on the plane tomorrow arvo. So I'm back. But boys, I'm running. I don't know whether do you want to cover my running or what? Like, give
us a quick recap. I'm not sure how long we've got with you. Give us a recap.
Well, the important stuff is me being a super coach and my running. So today I ran 8K in Hyde Park, and I feel like I'm back. So yeah, Croaks, maybe that Mulligan's run will be on soon.
I thought you were meeting the surgeon last time you were chatting to us about running.
I know, yeah. I think I come good.
Whose marathon were you more impressed with yesterday, Ellie's or Caden's?
Oh, well, that's a good question, actually. Who was I more impressed with? Probably Ellie, to be honest. Like, Ellie, she was sick, and he's come back from a long way. Caden was going real well, not sick. I mean, he did outkick Tommy DeCano, so that's pretty good. And he's won the race. He's come over from New Zealand. But, yeah, I'd say Ellie exceeded what I expected for her. She still got it. Like, there's some excitement around Ellie. I reckon later this year, like, I was just having a think last night, women's marathon stocks, like, she's coming forward with momentum. There's a few that are sort of dropping back. It's going to open up a bit, I reckon.
You think so? No one has ever doubted that Ellie has got it.
Yeah, I know, but you have 2 kids and, like, you fail a few marathons. Like, she had some shit ones. So, like, a few doubts, I reckon. A few doubts are out there.
Okay. Yep. All right. What's the presentation you're about to do?
I got to do a business review for the running company to the global team. So, a bit of pressure on, actually. Sort of worried. I wrote this presentation up and it's terrible. So I think I'm just going to wing it, no prezzo.
Just chuck it in Chat GPT before you go in there.
Yeah. I'll just wing it. I just use my aura.
Is that what about, Croak? How many coffees have you had this morning?
I think I had a few beers last night, so I'm just buzzing a bit.
Yeah. All right, we're going to let you go. It's good to hear your voice. We'll see you next week due to we'll get the regular programming back going.
Yep. All right. See you, fellas. Bye.
Rightio, Croaks is up and about. Good to hear his voice. I reckon he's going to be entering a London Marathon next year.
I reckon.
He's buzzing.
Good. His body's improved. Didn't he send us a message during the week saying, "Oh, MRI came back no good. Got to go and see the surgeon."
Yeah, he certainly did. He maybe he's just been getting more sleep over there. What about they picked him up from the running company, like Emirates First Class, like picked him up in an Audi and took him to the airport.
They opened the door for him and everything, he said.
Some of us are playing chess, Croaks, and others are playing checkers.
You gonna take us to Ballarat?
Yeah, I'll take you to Ballarat, and then we'll do Run the Tan. Ballarat, windy, warm, not so much the Valencia of the south, which I've been banging on the last couple of years. So they got a bit unlucky, people in marathon particular, yesterday because, blustery. The early predictions looked like it was going to be a real similar wind to the first year, 2024, where it was going to be like a crosswind and you'd get a lot of cover from the buildings and then get exposed on the lake, come home with a tailwind. But being out there on the bike, it was just swirling around everywhere on Sturt Street. And talking to a couple of people I coached, they were just like, it was so hard to relax and get into a rhythm because this wind was always just like picking up. And it was probably like 20, 25k an hour gusts on the lake, which is just so exposed there off the water. Great race in the men's. This was pretty loaded because you had Caden Shields, who did get the win. He ran 2:18.07. He was with Tommy DeCano, same time through the 41.1k timing, Matt. And then he put 22 seconds into him. How's that for a finish? Tommy's got wheels too, so I don't know if I didn't see it. I was still a bit up the road. I saw them a bit higher up, but very big kick finish from Caden there, who is coached by Moose, if you didn't hear that before. Tommy DeCano second, 2:18.29. So previous winner in 2024, now got second place. Jacob Cox, 2:19.04. Had a couple of goes at the marathon, Jacob, and I reckon this is his best performance because I think that's worth a bit quicker time on a different day. That was a pretty good run from him. And then you had guys like, this is where the carnage was like, I looked at this lead pack and I'm like, oh, there's no way I would be, because I've been second and fifth. And then I looked at this lead pack and I'm like, I'd be like 20th or 15th today running a 2:19. But then the carnage hit him. Listen to some of these names like Reese Edwards, 2:24.55. Bailey, Maziki Hints, like he ran 2:17 for his debut, I reckon, at Melbourne, 2:25.45. Our man Nick Earl had a shocker, 2:25.58. Hardy, he had a good one. Sam Blake is a 2:17 guy, isn't he?
I think he's fast. I think he's even faster.
Something like that, 2:27.32. Like all these guys were in this main pack going through half, and then it was just brutal out there for the second lap. So, tough day out. But good to see Caden come over from New Zealand and get the win there. As Moose said, Ellie Pashley got the win. Very good friend of the show. Probably if we're going to say best friend, she'd be up there. Best friend of the show? Maybe Chris.
She was like, wasn't she, what poll did you put out there? Number one most popular female distance runner in Australia or something at one point?
That was a couple of years ago though. She dropped off a bit when she started having babies. But now she's back racing. She's on the streets. She just, maybe went to the back of some people's memories when they weren't, when she wasn't racing as regularly, but she's back. She'll probably win that again this year, Croaks. 2:30.47. She took down the course record. I did look up today, did miss one of the bonuses to break 2:30, but still, I think it's $6,000, wasn't it, for first place, men and women?
I think so.
So a nice little course record bonus there. Donve Viljoen was second in 2:41, and then Radka Kahlefeldt was third in 2:42. So Ali had a pretty good pace team. She had our man Jeff Risley. Probably didn't go for as long as he was anticipating, but he did a good job on the front there for a while.
Wouldn't be getting paid at the Gold Coast, pulling out at 10K.
And then Cam Smith got her to about 35K, I think. If she's buying slabs for anyone, maybe hold off on the Jeffer slab and just flick his one through to Cam, because Cam did a good job there as well. But they had a nice little pack there. I know Sean White from Bendigo was hanging on there as well. They all come down the hill together at the very end. The half marathon was on too. Brett Robinson set a course record, 63.58, beat Ryan Gregson by 6 seconds. This was probably, I saw them at 10K and I reckon the gap was 6 seconds, and it did not change in the last 11 K. So they kind of both solid it. Ryan Gregson, 64.04. And then my man, Croaks, Nath Stone, into the 64s, 64.56. And you will not find a man, like 3 names there, Brett Robinson, Ryan Gregson, Nathan Stote, like drives a forklift at a supermarket, the most modest person you get around, works hard. And then you got 2 professional athletes there who've never worked a day in their life. And then you just got Stody on the podium with him. So
He's
good to see.
Good guy, Nath.
That's a win for the people. That's a win for the grinders out there, the people, the blue collar people who are driving forklifts and then rocking up to race Olympians. I was a bit surprised Gregson raced, actually, considering like the controversy, bit of a shitstorm that he had, which was very well valid. I was surprised to see him on the road. Jean Gregson, she won the half in 70.49, which was a course record. Danette Sheehan was second, 74.03. And Nicola Sheridan was third in 74.17. What was Eloise Wellings? Was she fourth?
Yeah, she was fourth, yeah.
Yeah, because they were all in a pack together. And I thought, Eloise might have been just sitting and kind of kicking for that second spot because they were a long way behind Jen. But she finished in fourth.
It looked like the weather, like obviously, Brett's run way faster, but, the time that Jen ran, like it was a pretty solid run given the conditions. Do you reckon maybe the wind and everything was not maybe as bad if you're only having to deal with it for one lap?
Yeah, 100%. And the sun, like I know we've come out of our summer and Moose will hate me saying this, that it was like 15 degrees, 16 degrees, and that's not hot, but it went to like full sun in the second lap as well. And I just felt for those marathoners having to go around twice. We kind of saw it in our results with a lot of the people we coached, like the half marathoners were a minute or two maybe outside what they should have been, but then there was kind of bigger gaps for the marathoners just because they had to endure that in the second lap. And it gets lonely in the second lap.
Rob ran like a 2-minute PB.
Yeah, but he doesn't count. He's doing that Duplantis stuff where he just takes off little PBs every time to say he can keep. He looked good out there. I gave him a wave. But he's built different. We just got to put him in a different category. The mile and the 5K were on the Saturday afternoon. Jack Rayner won the 5K in 14.07. Ben Stevens was second, 14.50. And then Ben Manane was third, 14.52. Georgia Gregic won the women's in 16.08. Stella Radford second in 16.41. And Stephanie Kelly was third in 17.12. And the mile champs, Jayla Hancock Cameron. This could be the biggest result of her life.
Yeah, well, I'm on World Athletics. It's been updated. She's sitting 16th all time over a road mile.
It's hilly. You have to run up and down a hill. Like I know you get the downhill, but you got to get up that hill to start off with. So it's not like a pancake flat, kind of road. She ran 4:26.4, as you said, area record, goes number 16 all time. And even I just thought it was a great race because she took down Georgia Griffith, and she won easy. She won by 11 seconds. I could not believe it at the finish because they were together coming down the hill, and then they go and do this little dog leg to get back up it. And I'm like, Jayla's smashed her here. Huge win, huge scalp. Congratulations to Jayla Hancock Cameron. And building a bit of a cult following I'm seeing in our DMs. People want interviews with her. They love that she gets mentioned every week. She got that black on black socks and shoe combo. You seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell you what, she
unsponsored, she's
sponsored now by Run Havoc. It's like a shoe shop up in Wollongong. But she was a gun junior. She represented Australia at some not World Juniors, but below that, World Youth or something, and won. And I think she ran 2:06 for 800 as maybe a 14, 15-year-old, and then sort of plateaued and stayed there for a while. But now she's really kicked up again. And she just loves racing. And I was thinking about it actually during the week because she's from the South Coast, Bateman's Bay, Browley area. And the amount that she races, to think how much travel she has to do to get to these races. So I'm guessing she's driving to Sydney for all of these milers meets and stuff like that. And that's probably I'm going to say it's close to a 4-hour drive to Sydney from her house.
One way.
Yep. And then she's like sort of halfway between, I suppose, Sydney and Melbourne. So she wants to go to Melbourne. She's, I'm guessing, driving down there as well. Or she drives across to Canberra and catches planes. It like
expensive going in and out of Canberra too.
Like coming from these small country towns, like it makes it so much harder to get around and compete. And even all of the training, like when I was down the coast the other week, I saw her on this like pretty crappy like footy oval, basically. That's where she's doing some sessions. So I definitely have to interview her when she gets back from overseas, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's only going to add to her cult following, hearing those stories. She's doing it tough in the car. Everyone from the country can relate there. Izzy Thornton Bott was third in 4:42. Jude, the prince who was promised Thomas, he won the men's in 4:03.6. Connor Whiteley was second in 4:03.9. So this was a great, head-to-head finish. And then Luke Shaw was a second behind in 4:04.5. That was Ballarat Marathon.
10K, missed 10K, Brady.
Missed the 10K. I did too. Apologies, listeners. There's a lot of results in front of me tonight. Braden Noonan, is he a Canberra boy?
Yeah, he's 17. So
he ran. I looked up his profile today.
Yeah, so he qualified for World Junior Cross this year and went over and DNF'd. I think he collapsed. He also ran in that 5K that race that we put on here in Canberra.
Yep.
And he finished third in that race. I reckon he maybe just broke 15 minutes on the track that night. But yeah, quality, 17, breaking 30 minutes.
Come flying down the hill. Everyone's like, who? Like I'm standing there with Reece Edwards and Reece's coach and Zach, and we're like, who's this guy? Like, never seen him before. He looked amazing. 29.58. Andre Waring was second in 30.06. Will Lovett was third in 13.23.
He's coached by Jared Ryan, actually, Braden.
Okay. And then Sinead looked really strong coming down the hill as well. She was flying. She set a course record, 33.22. Tara Palm was just behind in 33.28. And Catherine Dowley was third in 34.37. I stood there, Croaks, watching Melbourne at about the 37K mark. And I was like, remember on the show afterwards, I'm like, everyone was happy. No one was hitting walls. I was like, people have clocked the marathon. Must be the shoes. People learn more now. The nutrition's better. Isn't this great to see, people having fun over the marathon? Then I stood there yesterday and I'm like, nah. The marathon, it was a different 9 out of 10 people looked terrible and had really hard days out there. So if you finished yesterday, kudos for staying out there when things weren't going to plan. But it just shows how hard of an event it is when you get some weather stuff or you go out too hot too early or whatever it is. It humbled. It made me respect. I was there with Toby, and Toby's doing Great Ocean Road in a few weeks, and he's just like, oh, I don't know if I want to do Great Ocean Road if this is what's going to happen to me. And I'm like, good luck, brother. Good luck.
I think you're part to blame here, though, Brady. You've been talking up Ballarat for the last couple of years, saying it's the Valencia of the South.
Look,
and
I never had problems
anybody that goes to Valencia, they are going to go out and try and run a massive PB, regardless of the weather. And so I think you need to take some of the blame for that, because obviously it wasn't a fast day.
Look, everyone looked great at 3K. It was looking like the Valencia of the South when I was there at the 3K mark. But yeah, I think when you sign up for a marathon in Ballarat, you're like, okay, I'm expecting a bit of wind. You're probably not expecting 16 degrees and full sun for the second lap, though.
I got a question for you, and we raised this probably the last 2 years of Ballarat. How many years? Because, when we did the podcast early days, Moose was living there, and it was always windy. Ballarat's a windy place. I reckon the last 2 years you got really, really lucky with the weather. Whereas yesterday was probably more of a traditional Ballarat day. So how many years of copping that sort of weather before people say, oh, I don't enjoy having to deal with that wind on the second lap. I'm just going to run the half marathon or the 10K.
Wow.
Because surely it's going to wear people down.
The running boom's got to mean everything sells out for the next 5 years. Because what other option do you get? You're going to go to Canberra? So Canberra Marathon, Ballarat Marathon. there's not enough marathons to go around this time of the year. They'll still sell it out every year.
Well, maybe the sub-elite guys, like
Yeah.
like you for example, like you see 3 years in a row of Ballarat being windy. Are you going to sign up for Ballarat?
Look, the 2 years I did it, there was still wind. It just wasn't as bad as yesterday. Like it was probably still 10 to 15k an hour winds. Today it was like 6k an hour winds this morning there. They just were 24 hours on the wrong side of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like one of those coastal towns that's windy every single day of the year. You just need a bit of luck. But I think because there's limited opportunities, watching yesterday, they've obviously taken on more participants and it was way busier on the road. And I remember Mona coming on the show being like, no, we know how many, we've sold it out. We know how many our course can handle. We don't want to take too many entries to make it poor experience for the participants, whereas they had way more numbers this year and didn't change the course at all. So it was, well, I know even Reese was saying they couldn't get to the drinks tables for the elite tables because all the half marathoners were on that side of the road. But yeah, they'll figure those things out. They've seen pretty good operators over there. Did I tell you I left my backpack there?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got in the car and we got back to Bendigo to pick up the kids and I was like, have you seen my backpack, Carly? She's like, I thought you grabbed it. She's like, I'm like, I thought you grabbed it. So
what was in it?
My heart rate monitor, my headphones, bit of clothing. Not too bad, but if you're noticing why I don't have any heart rate showing for the next couple of days, I've emailed them. I'm like, if you guys got any lost property, there should be a Nike backpack in the main street somewhere. So yeah,
that sucks.
That does suck. Run the tan. Finish things off.
Yeah. So this was on yesterday. In the women's, Lyndon Hall. She equaled Jess Hull's record around there, running 11:31. Beat Cara Ryan, who ran 12:22. So for those, I guess, international listeners, it's what, a 3.6k, 3.7k or something?
Isn't it 3.8?
3.8, yes, something like that.
Melbourne people are going to hate that we can't get this right.
But I'll tell you what, though.
They love the tan in Melbourne.
One comment, like this, over the last few years, is sort of, I thought, had grown in popularity. But these elite fields, and I'm not sure if this was to do with Ballarat being on, because obviously they had the Australian Road Mile Championships, but the men's elite field had 4. The women's elite field had 4.
3.827 Croaks.
Okay.
Yeah, we're competing with other stuff's not going to help. But haven't they gone more I'd say they're bigger now with mass participation.
Yeah, okay, and charity stuff.
Yeah, it's raising money for mental health, isn't it? That's probably where they're at. Yeah. They do the para stuff well.
But I remember a few years ago, those elite fields, there was 10, 15 guys running.
Yeah.
So in the men's, Callum Davies got the win there, 10:31, beat Ed Marks, 10:32. And in the para events, Michael Roger broke his own para record. He ran 10:53, beating Angus Hinksman, who ran 11:08. And in the women's, Annabelle Coleman ran 13:07, which broke her old record by 21 seconds.
Smashed it. Listeners, we had her on something not so long ago. I told you, watch this space for Annabelle. That was the news. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration. Chances are you're gearing up for a race yourself, but how dialed in is your race day nutrition? Precision Fuel and Hydration makes it simple with a free online planner. Visit precisionhydration.com. Get your numbers today. Whispers here, Croaks. We got Puma has parted ways with Pat Tiernan. So he ran in Puma shoes, but just plain black Nike kit at Boston. And Ryan Gregson. He was in the Asics shoes yesterday at Ballarat.
So him and Jem were like a package deal.
No? Wow, yeah. Did you call him the steak knife once?
No, I didn't. I don't think so. I think that would have been Moose.
Yeah, it's kind of a Moose kind of claim. He's been removed from the package, which, big Aussie. I've heard a big Aussie committed to Sydney Marathon as well, early, which is good. I've got so many whispers overseas. Also, big new romance in the running world. I won't go into that yet, but just keep an eye on the social pipes. A couple of maybe both Olympians. One's definitely an Olympian. So yeah, just keep an eye out. Just swim around the waters of those kind of directions in the next couple of months, and then when you see stuff, go, yeah, that's what Brady was talking about on Inside Runner podcast. Listener question.
Yep. So this episode's list of questions is proudly brought to you by Precision Fuel and Hydration. It comes from Aaron Francis. As you guys become fully fledged veterans, have you considered any particular strategies to help extend your longevity in the sport? How might your philosophies and approaches shift as you age? I'm coming up to 40 and beginning to modify my own methods. I'm always keen to hear from those in a similar age bracket.
Well, you're kind of doing this. Well, you've been a veteran for a few years now.
Yeah, like for me, it's changing my mentality around training, I suppose. Like for most of my career, it was most sessions were 8, 9 out of 10. And there was a long period there where I would do 3 sessions a week. And then recovery runs were just whatever I felt like doing on the day. And so now I feel like I'm training with a little bit more purpose, and I'm a little bit more calculated with exactly what I'm doing and what zones I'm in. And what I'm finding is one, like fitness is still building by training way easier than I've ever trained in my life. But I'm also able to run a decent amount of volume for an old guy because I'm running controlled when in sessions. Also, like I was thinking about it today. Like shoe technology has definitely helped older men and women continue to run. Because I was thinking today as I was going out for my second run, I was like, if I had to wear an old pair of, I don't know, like just an old school trainer that existed, 15, 20 years ago, I don't think I could run 150K a week. I don't think I'd be able to do it. My body would just, even an easy recovery run, it would bang the body up way more than me putting on a Brooks Glycerin Max, where I've just got all of this extra, padding and protection. So there are a few things that I'm doing.
You know what's helped like post-marathon? What shoe?
Which one?
The Nike Vomero Premium.
Oh, yeah.
Like 25, 30 minutes, like the first run back after a marathon. 5-minute K pace in that, you're just on those balloons.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you, anything from you, Brady?
Well, I just don't do like top end speed anymore.
Mm.
So, a couple of years ago, I remember putting on spikes and doing like flat out like 100 meters as my strides. And I made that mistake the start of this year as well. I think when I started getting back going, I was just doing, me and Chriso would have this stupid thing where we'd just see who could do the fastest strides. And we're running like 225 K pace. And you just like high risk, low reward. So little things like that you just take out. And then I think it's just build more on strength. Like it's just those. And that's what I found going into Boston. I think I had something like 7 runs over 30K in a space of 34 weeks. And I feel if I can now just get back to consistency and be that 2 to 2 hours 20 every Sunday for 6 months, it's going to make you fit as a fiddle.
Another thing I'm probably doing is just monitoring my body a little bit better. Like, so if something doesn't feel quite right, I'm actually taking the time, and it could be like 20, 30 minutes at night to, massage it or roll it out or stretch. And gym as well. Gym's one thing that I've always come in and out of over the last 20, 30 years. Like, I haven't done much gym ever in my life, but since April last year, I reckon I've been to the gym at least once every week to lift, not heavy weights, but I'm keeping up that, which has helped. And even from a yearly mileage point of view, Brady, I ran 3,666 kilometers last year. I'm at 2,260. So what am I like? I'm 1,300 kilometers away from reaching last year's total mileage, and we're end of April.
Yeah, you're a third through the year.
Yeah.
How good's that? Yeah, you're doing well, Croaks. Ticking all the boxes. And the gym stuff, you're spot on. Like the minute you lose that for a week and then you don't go for 2 weeks, then you don't want to go back because you'll get DOMs. Yeah. You just got to keep in touch with it.
Well, it's that calf and Achilles stuff. So I was having some really bad insertional Achilles issues, and anytime I jumped on the track, it would just flare up. Whereas now I'm able to do 10K worth of work on the track and it not flare up. And that's really because of the gym, doing some heavier calf raises in the gym, I reckon.
That was a listener question. Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration. Visit precisionhydration.com and use the code IRP2026 for 15% off your first order. What's coming up, Croak? Said before, we're busy recording interviews. It's a busy time this week. What else you got coming up, though?
3 sessions. Not too much. Looking forward to the kids going back to school. It's like we've had...
Are they not back yet?
Well, they are, but so last week Monday was a pupil free day, which
we've got a pupil free day. Is that the first Monday back that a pupil free day?
Yeah. Now that I'm not teaching, I'm jumping on Moose's bandwagon of just bagging. Like, why are we having a pupil free day on the first day of the term?
No, I get that. I think it's stupid. Like Carly's school used to do it. I'm like, it's just a great way to piss the parents off.
Yeah,
we've got one. We've got one Friday this week, so it's like week 2 on the Friday. So at least you get the kids back.
Yeah. So that was last Monday. And then we in Canberra have a public holiday today for Anzac Day.
Oh, so they've had a long
So
way.
the kids aren't at school today either. So it'll be week 3. Week 3 will be the first week where the kids are at school on a Monday.
Yeah. You don't want that to get in your way of your threshold training.
You don't want Moose to hear this either.
And we must say that when there's a pupil free day, we actually do stuff.
Yeah,
like
I know.
You have professional development for the day. We've got a guest speaker, I think, doing behaviour management stuff on Friday. It's not just the kids stay home and you do what you want at school for the day.
It's good for you, given you teach Friday. It's one of your days of teaching and it's a pupil free day.
It is. Thursday we've got the school cross country too. So you get put on a corner out on the bike track and kill a few hours out there pointing in a direction. So very nice couple of days coming up. All right, mate.
What's next for you, Brady? Have you thought about where your running goes to from here?
Well, I've kind of missed the boat on any marathon entries. Like, yeah, I can still get into Valencia if I want. Don't really want to go away for like 10 days again from the family. Like that's hard.
Any coaching updates? Going to get a coach?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, I probably should, or maybe in 2 or 3 weeks' time. That would be the time to do it again. I just want to get consistent. So it's like, I was just starting to feel fit. So I just want to get, 140 to 160K weeks nearly every week. Yeah. Just nothing special. Get it done. And then start picking out. I'm at that stage too where like stuff doesn't excite me as much anymore. Like Gold Coast, done it 15 times probably. Yeah, AV circuit. Done it 20 years in a row. So, yeah, I need to find something that's going to... When's Comrades? We should go do Comrades.
Yeah. I still reckon, though, like, while you're building back, it's good to, although you don't get that excited maybe about it, but go away, put in a block of training, then go and find a race to do. And it's not so much... It's more about that race will give you some indicators of where your fitness is at, plus it's going to bring your fitness up a little bit more than if you just train for 3 months and not race at all.
I'll look at when like Ballarat 15K is, Albert Park 10K, stuff like that. But I just want to, when you've been away too, you just want to get in routine around the house and just hang out and do those things. All right, mate, that was it. Episode 443 in the books.
Chat next week.
Do it all again next week. Patreon, keep an eye on your feeds because it's going to get flooded the next couple of days. Bye, Craigs.
Yeah, see you.
See ya.
Thanks to Precision Fuel and Hydration for sponsoring this episode. Precision Fuel and Hydration is the answer to fuel your next marathon. Their free online plan that helps you nail your sodium and carb intake so you don't fade when it matters most. Visit precisionhydration.com and while you're there, place your first order and get 15% off when you use the code IRP2026.
Show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it don't come back.